Welcome. This is Farm to Table, the show that brings farming to life, right where it happens, in our homes, gardens, and villages. Today we travel to Nakasaja in Wakiso district, where Nantongo Lillian and her offshore poultry farm are brooding a small number of broiler chicks for starters. Now, brooding may sound like a big word, but it's simply the care of young chicks until they grow feathers and can regulate their own body temperature. In today's episode, we learn how this simple practice is changing lives. Broilers are a great place to start, ideal for small spaces and low capital. You don't need a large building or fancy setup. And yes, you can earn money every month. Let's take a look at what's essential to begin this amazing agricultural venture.
Though this is not a chicken house, the one that is supposed to be a chicken house, but this is something that anyone can start. Whether you have the chicken house, whether you have the resources to build, whether you don't have the resources to build, you can start basically with this.
To start brooding chicks, make sure you have the following: space, even if it's small, coffee husks, brooder paper, boxes, dry sawdust, old newspapers to keep chicks warm and dry, heat source, like a brooder stove, replaces the mother hen's warmth, drinkers, feeding troughs, wire mesh, protects chicks from predators, e.g., rats, cats, snakes.
We use this wire mesh to put in our windows so that cats cannot enter, rodents, the rats, even their funny birds which may enter and make our birds sick. So we have to use this kind of mesh in our windows. And for the doors, we are always cautious. We close if we are not around, and if we are around, we are on the look. We first of all pour coffee husks down. Why do we pour the coffee husks down? To prevent coldness from getting up to our chicks. It has to be some level, at least you use your finger, the middle finger, the height of that finger is supposed to be the height of the husks. When after pouring the husks, we have to cover with this. This is called a brooding pepper. It is a brooder pepper. This brooder pepper, why do we cover the husks is, these chicks when they are still babies, they don't know the taste of feed. When you bring them and put them direct to the husks, you'll find them eating the husks. But once you cover this whole place, then you put the feeds, they will first of all learn the taste of the feeds. So in 3 days to 4, we remove the brooder pepper. They go direct to the husks, but they will not eat the husks because they already know the taste of the feeds. So basically, that is why we cover with this kind of pepper when we are bringing our chicks. We have to put the brooder stove first of all. This is our stove that we are using. This is a briquette stove. This is a briquette. So that stove uses briquettes. Many people use pots, but we are moving away from that since charcoal is also hectic to get. So what we do, we get a small amount of charcoal, we put in the stove, we light it. Then after we place this briquette, it is a source of heat for our chicks. So after lighting the briquettes, we shall get warmth. The required warmth, like if we are to go in our local settings, the mother hen always puts the chicks inside the feathers to get the warmth. So since we don't have here the mother hen, we are brooding our chicks. That is the source of heat for them. Then after, we have to use paper trays. These are going to be used as feeding sites. We use trays, why? Because they are easy, the chicks can climb them easily to get feeds on it. And for the feeds, we are using these crumbles called the starter mash, which you'll pour on the trays for easy access with our birds. In case you don't have the trays, we can use the real troughs. But these troughs tend to be bigger, and out of experience, chicks sleep in them. When you put this trough, since it is bigger, this space is bigger, they will go and pile themselves. After eating, they sleep inside. So we can use the paper tray. Some pour the food down, but when you pour the food down on the paper, it is going to be wasted since they are pooping on the what? On the papers. So it is better to be hygienically clean. We use these paper trays. They are easy to get. But also trays, plastic trays, they can be used. We measure small amounts of water. We measure our water in 5, 10, or 20 jerry cans. So we have the the chick start, the vitamin with glucose, which we pour in the 5-liter jerry can. Then we measure small amounts of in different drinkers so that they can access water. After eating, they can access water.
Now that we know what's needed, let's look at the math behind raising broilers, from acquiring chicks to preparing them for market.
The coffee husks, it is 13,000 to 15,000 depending on where you are. The brooder pepper is 8,000 and you can do away without it. You can go for boxes. You can go to a shop, at least solicit for boxes, empty boxes. They can also cover the husks. Then the briquette goes for 2,000 each. And we always use an estimate of 30 briquettes, that is around 60,000. You see, it is lesser expensive than charcoal. Because in some places, charcoal bag is 100,000. So you need the vitamin. The vitamin that we start with is 5,000 to 6,000. So you can see that basically you can solicit these things slowly by slowly. The traps go for 2,500. The pepper trays are 500 shillings. So these things are easy to get. At least you can solicit for them. Then when you see that you've gotten the things that you're going to use, then you can go ahead and book for these chicks. But you have to book them knowing that you have money for feeds. Because feeding is prime. When you don't have money for feeds, you'll be doing a disservice to yourself. When we estimate this chick, by the time from buying to sell time, we always estimate at 10,000. From buying price, the feeding price, the treating price, everything to do with the batch up to sell point. We estimate to 10,000, but sometimes it does not reach 10. It depends on the number of birds. The more the birds, the lesser the costs. I don't know if you can understand it. Like in brooding, there are things we use for brooding. We use coffee husks, we use brooder peppers, we use briquettes, we use vitamin chick start, we use water. When you count at the end of the brooding, let me say we have used 200,000 in our brooding. When you divide that 200,000 amongst the birds, let me say these are 100 birds. Each bird will have cost 2,000. When you get that 2,000 and add it to the price you bought the birds at, let me say our birds are 3,200. Each bird will be in 5,200. But that same amount can brood 500 birds. So when this person of 500 birds divides with that 200,000, you see that the 500 batch is lesser in costing. So we start small, but we grow big, slowly by slowly. You can start with 100, 120, you mount to 200, slowly by slowly. But an estimate of 10,000. If you want to maybe brood 100 birds, you have 1 million shillings. You want to brood 50 birds, at least have 500,000 shillings. Precaution should be taken on the source of the chicks. It is very prime. Some sources, I cannot tell, they are dismay. But you have to get chicks from the right source, at least define the companies that you're well conversant with. We need light day and night. These chicks have to feed all the time, day and night. Though they have their own feeding time, but you have to avail them with light. Whether it is in the night, you have to put light till morning. But for a person, for example here where we don't have electricity, but someone can improvise. We have these lights, chargeable lights. She uses chargeable lights. During the day, the light is okay. But as it gets to the night, she places the bulb, the chargeable bulb. Once it wears out, she puts another. So you can see that whether you don't have the electricity, whether you don't have the chicken house, whether you don't have, maybe you have like a small capital, you can start something. You can do something for yourself. At least even here, I think she can put 200 birds at most. Yes. And 200 birds, someone can earn around 5,000 shillings, 500,000 at the end of the rearing. So you can see it is some income. Yet you have started the way you have started in your small room. Maybe it is a boys' quarter or a room on a house, maybe a free room that you can use. So I think you can do something for yourself.
With everything in place, it's time to prepare your brooder.
These chicks, when they are still babies, they don't know the taste of feed. When you bring them and put them direct to the husks, you'll find them eating the husks. But once you cover this whole place, then you put the feeds, they will first of all learn the taste of the feeds. So in 3 days to 4, we remove the brooder paper. They go direct to the husks, but they will not eat the husks because they already know the taste of the feeds. So basically, that is why we cover with this kind of paper when we are bringing our chicks. So after setting up this, that is when we bring our chicks and put them inside our brooder. Yes. So within 3 to 5 days, we shall be removing that paper. And after removing that paper, we put these chicks direct on the husks, as you see. But we still need the heat. That is why these ones are 6 days, but they are still having a heat source, that brooder stove, because they need the warmth for at least the 14 days. That is our starter brooding period. This stove is made purposely for brooding. The outside does not heat. It is the inside that heats. The cup that is holding the briquette. And the briquettes are good because the fire is gradual. It's not like pots that it will just light very fast. It is gradual.
Now bring in the chicks. In their first week, they'll remain in this brooder. Monitoring temperature is crucial. Watch the chicks.
So these chicks will always show you. If the heat is too much, they will always run away from the heat source. They will be on the sides. You will not see any chick passing near that stove. When the chick is when the heat is okay, you'll see them evenly dispersed. They will be everywhere they are eating. And once there is a blowing wind that is coming from maybe a certain side that blows into, you will find them in one corner. So these are all signs that they are, when you see it, you say, hey, what is happening? Then you will know there is wind, or there is too much heat, or the heat is okay. But we always advise them that the heat that you provide for these chicks, you can be able, you yourself, to stand that heat. When you're standing in the brooder, you're not just, I'm putting the water, then I'm rushing out, I'm dying of the heat. It should be when you can also bear the heat yourself.
Many fear they don't have enough space, but Lillian has some comforting advice.
You should be with a space whereby you can put the feeds and the water and the stove, and the chicks can still pass through. And once you put them and you see they are too full, you cannot, even when you're stepping inside, you're like, I'm going to step on a chick. Just know the space is not enough. You need to increase a bit. And once you see it is also outgrown, if they are already, they become more full. You know they are growing fatter every day. So you know the space is not enough, you'll be increasing.
With the brooder ready and chicks in, remember, they need feeding from day one.
Feeding is prime. When you don't have money for feed, you'll be doing a disservice to yourself. 100 birds in 14 days, they consume 50 kgs.
Just like babies, chicks need vaccination. Know when and against what diseases to immunize.
We start vaccination at 2 weeks. But if it is from another source, let me say Yuga chick, beans, they start with 7 days. 7 days, you vaccinate Newcastle. Yes. As they are leaving the brooder, we vaccinate Newcastle IB. Then when you get to 3 weeks, you vaccinate Gimbal. For them, vaccination is just twice.
So, how long should chicks stay in the brooder? And where do they go afterward?
After the 14 days, we shall go to our grower stage. Our brooding stage will be over. We are going to another stage that is called the grower stage. Everything changes, the feeds change, and also the troughs change because these are now small. We put in medium troughs. We shall stop putting the fire. We shall also increase the space a bit because now they are at that stage they are fattening and they need a bigger space. We shall be opening our windows. We shall not need to close windows. We need basically the wind to be blowing through.
These birds grow fast, and before long, they'll be ready for sale, bringing income to your doorstep.
This is like salary. You have birds for a month, you get paid at the end of the month.
These birds grow fast, and before long, they'll be ready for sale, bringing income to your doorstep. With just a small brooding setup, you can earn 500,000 Ugandan shillings monthly from selling chicks. Plus, the husks used for bedding, they become manure, great for gardens or resale. In our next episode of Farm to Table, we travel to Kigavu Katakamu, where Salongo Kizito will teach us the basics of rearing layers to earn through egg production. Be sure to join us next week, same time. This has been Farm to Table.